What's going on, 49er fans? I'm Jason Aponte. That is Steph Sanchez. We are streaming on both of our channels. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to both channels, hit that notification bell on both channels for when we go live. This is the Bully Ball podcast, which used to be in audio form on the Niners Nation podcast network. Obviously, we know the news about Rob moving on from SB Nation kind of left us twisting in the wind at this point because there's nothing that really, has been said to any of us. But we do want to send a shout out to Rob, man. Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything that you've done. You're gonna land on your feet. Rob's an incredible talent, man. He's done it so much for Steph and I.
And he has his own channel now.
Yes.
So if you guys loved Rob's content, which I know a lot of us did, it was a part of our daily, 49ers routine. Go ahead and check out his YouTube page because he's gonna keep the content going.
Absolutely. So in the spirit of this 49er season, we've got to keep it rolling. Like, this is normally something that you would get on audio on Tuesdays. So we're going to give it to you right here on both of our channels. And I mean, this team is rolling, Steph. I mean, like, the team has eliminated back-to-back weeks, hated rival after hated rival. Before we get into the game, some serious news that kind of came out today about Charles Omenihu and an alleged domestic violence incident. I think in times like this, it's really important to do two things. One, always obviously make sure that you would never want to ever downgrade or downplay domestic violence in any way. We definitely are against that. But it's also important to kind of wait for everything to come out as well, too. So, a lot of people, they make mistakes. They rush to judgment on things like this. Obviously, what is being said does not look good, but I think it's important to wait for all the facts. Obviously, if Charles Omenihu is guilty of any of these things, it's a horrible thing, and that's not something that we condone at all. What do you think, Steph?
No, I 100% agree. And, it was a little disappointing to see, like, as soon as, like, some of those reports came out, I see people running the comments saying it's not that bad. If that's your first thought, then, like, you're already, like, in the wrong side of that discussion. And, the 49ers, they're in a tough spot, though. They've had a tough stance on domestic violence in the past. And normally I feel like they would wait for legal process to play out. But normally you don't deal with an incident like this during the playoffs, right? So the timing also is very tricky because, the 49ers play a game in just 5 days. So what do they do? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they held him out of this game, just given what we know so far. I don't think they would do anything beyond that until we know more, but I don't know. They're just in a tough spot, and I just know I'll support the team, whatever they decide to do, because again, they have been on the right side of this, with Kyle and John Lynch.
And it's important again to remember, we do not condone domestic violence, obviously, in any way. And this is bigger than a football game. This is bigger than having a guy for a football game. But I think it is also important to kind of let things play out as it does, just because so many things can happen. Rushing to judgment is the quickest way without all the facts to get yourself in a bit of a bind. So at this point, I think the best way to put it is TBD, to be continued when it comes to this. And that has nothing to do with the football game in terms of like what we should be talking about. In my opinion, I think there's something bigger going on right now. So, hopefully something like this can come to a resolution, but it's no need to really just throw something out there about it. Like, oh, it's not that bad, or I think he's going to be fine. Just let it go at this point. Just let it play out. So, all right, Steph, Dallas Cowboys eliminated. Bye-bye.
I'm gonna let you cook, Jay, because this is your topic right here. Because remember, I was like, I'm not gonna talk a lot of, I'm not gonna do a lot of the talking because, if it goes wrong, I'm not the one, But you on the other hand, you're the one. And what do you got to say that on this beautiful Tuesday?
Steph, I mean, I think the best way to not already start to get anxiety over this Sunday game is to continue to run back the slander on the Dallas Cowboys and their fans. And again, when I talk confidence, it's not just because I am a fan of this team. I know what this team can do. I know what that other team on the other side was capable of. I know that if this team executes, they would have had no problem getting rid of the Dallas Cowboys, and that's exactly what happened. So for me, if I'm confident, it's because I'm confident in this team. I think you're going to find when we get to the part about talking about Sunday that I'm going to be far less cocky this week and far less confident just because I have a ton of respect for the Philadelphia Eagles. Having said that, I do not have that same respect for the Dallas Cowboys, and they showed up, and I am laughing all the way to the bank. So I don't duck the smoke, don't matter. I've been putting it out there, don't care. You shouldn't have been talking shit, basically, to me or to 49ers fans. This is what you get. And you know what? You'll probably get another day of this before 49er fans turn to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
But for now, you got to take this ass whipping, man, and you got to take this verbal assault. Like too many Cowboy fans in my comments. Too many
They're
Cowboy
still
fans.
talking. That's the thing. They're still talking.
And
they're like, Kittle wasn't an eligible receiver. All this
the game
talk.
was rigged.
He was, by the way.
So you know what's really funny, Steph? It went from the idea of, oh no, Bill Vinovich is the referee. Oh no, how is this going to affect the 49ers too? Now it was rigged for the 49ers. Do you see the bullshit? Like, do you see the nonsense? It's so stupid. Here's what you do, Cowboys fans. I want you to look yourself in the mirror and say, this is my fault. I believed in frauds. I was duped because they beat up on a Bucs team. I believe in a soft franchise. That's your own fault. Blame yourself. Don't blame the Cowboys. Don't blame your television. Don't blame Jerry Jones. Blame yourself for not believing all of a sudden, for thinking that this year was going to be different. You're not like that. You're not going to be like that. I was trying to tell you all week. I'm sorry that you had to find out this way, but you did, and you deserve it. But you should blame yourself. Blame yourself. If you were a Cowboys fan and you went into this game and you said, you know what, man, this is a tough hill to climb. The 49ers are really good. I hope my team can put forth a good effort. I might let it slide. But all you did was talk shit. And it is funny to me that now you are sitting there like, I can't believe we lost. It is your fault. And we got a donation from Anthony, actually. Can y'all give a shout out to my newborn son, Devin Anthony, newest addition to the faithful? How about them Niners? Shout out to you, Anthony, and shout out to your son, Devin. Born at the right time. Super Bowl, baby. I have a feeling if the 49ers win the Super Bowl, there's going to be a lot of babies conceived, right? Isn't that how it kind of goes?
There's going to be a lot of Brocks out there. Some new Brocks. I'm just saying.
There's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of fun being had around that. And then it's right there with Valentine's Day. Oh my God, man. There's going to be a whole bunch of 49ers babies.
New baby Aponte coming soon?
No. Absolutely not. In fact, the snip might be really in my future at this point. But shout out to you, Anthony, and shout out to your son, Devin Anthony. But yeah, look, back to this game. The defense played incredible in this game. But there was a guy who didn't get a sack in this game, Steph, and somebody who you do an impression of, Nick Bosa. What do you think about the serial killer looking for his next victim? If you guys don't know about that reference, Steph has deemed Nick Bosa a serial killer, meaning when a serial killer goes long stretches without killing, the appetite only grows. And I think it's 2 weeks now.
Yeah, you've seen
right?
Dexter. We've all seen that Dexter, right? So, yeah, he only has one sack in the last 4 weeks, so you know he wants one. And what better time than now?
I'm sorry, what up? Watch my mouth. Fuck out of here. Eliminated. 3, 2, 1. Cancun. Don't give a shit. You don't like it? Root for a better team. Go for it, Steph.
And also, like, the fact that they're now fans of their biggest division rival suddenly because of the Niners. I mean, I don't think I would do that. Like, would I cheer for I would never cheer for like the Seahawks or the Rams or anything like that. No.
Well, if you wanted to,
this is how low they're stooping. That's what.
If you wanted to eliminate the 49ers, you had your chance. And don't blame me. I didn't throw 2 interceptions.
And don't blame your TVs either. I've seen way too many videos of them running over their TVs. Like, what did the TV do?
The TV didn't do a thing. I don't understand it. I understand that TV prices are very low. And there's that one video of the guy breaking like a 12-inch, which is like $80. I get it. You could probably break that one and have it fixed, but don't blame us. I didn't throw 2 interceptions. I didn't tell Zeke to line up under center. I didn't tell the defense to give up 19 points. Like, you mad at the wrong people. You should be mad at your team. But yeah, let's go. Nick Bosa, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, yeah, 1 sack in the last 4 games. So I feel like he's ready and like he's getting asked about it, right? He's getting asked about it. And he's basically saying like, well, sacks come in bunches, so we'll just have to wait and see. But he also said that he's been playing his heart out. And I, for one, agree, because it's not all about sacks. I know that's the sexy stat when it comes to pass rushers, but that man is making a difference on these plays whether you notice because it's on the stat sheet or not. So I need that to be said. My guy's out here working, still the best pass rusher on this team. And I think he's going to bring it once again against the Eagles. Yes, they do have a better offensive line, which is something to keep in mind for this one. Cowboys offense, their offensive line is pretty good as well. But Nick Bosa is going to Bosa. You know what I mean? He's going to do his serial killer things, and he's just itching for one. I feel it.
Yeah, and the thing is stats are fleeting. And what I kind of mean by that is that they're up and down. Obviously, Nick Bosa is going to get his sacks, right? Like he led the league and defensive player of the year. But for me, there is more about pressures. Pressures are always going to be the way that I gauge how someone is there. Like you're around the quarterback, you're causing havoc, you're moving him off his spot. Pressures are a better indicator than sacks because guys can get sacks because of a pressure caused by someone on the other side and they can run right into a guy. Like sacks are a great barometer to, to figure out how somebody's performing, but pressures really is the way that I use to really gauge how effective you were as a pass rusher. If you're constantly in the backfield, if you're constantly making the quarterback move. So, sacks are a thing where sometimes you're unlucky. And I think Nick Bosa has just been a little bit unlucky. The ball's come out or he's just moved one way. I think it's coming. It's going to come this week against an offensive line that's very good. Lane Johnson. I mean, the Eagles have a great offensive line. They're incredible. So for me, it's going to have to come at the right time. You need this in the NFC Championship game. This NFC Championship game is going to be very similar to this Dallas game in terms of the grind, the dogfight, the low scoring, I believe, that we saw in this game, just because I really have a high respect for the Eagles. Not so much for them Cowboys, though.
But five pressures, 4 hurries, in a quarterback hit. And your point, it's not just all about the sacks, because those pressures, even if they don't turn into sacks, they could turn into an incompletion. They can turn into an interception. I mean, so it's still valuable what he's doing and what he's bringing out there.
Absolutely. Specifically on his defense, there's this one guy that I like to say he's good at football, Steph. I think he's good at football. I think that's the best way to describe this player. And it's Fred Warner. Fred Warner, we call him All-Pro Fred around here. Some would say the best off-ball linebacker in the league. I would say that. I think many would say that. But Sunday's game in particular, he's everywhere on the field. He has an interception that bounces off of Jimmy Ward. But the 2 plays that stand out are him mugging over the A-gap and then running up the seam with not just the receiver, CeeDee Lamb. And sure, Dak Prescott could have given him a better ball, but stride for stride almost with CeeDee Lamb. Steph, Fred Warner is what the kids say, built different, like that, whatever it is. What do you think about Fred Warner?
I think he's an alien, because I've never seen a linebacker do what he does week in and week out. This isn't just a one-time thing. He can do this every game if he wanted to, if he was given that assignment. And he understood the assignment. He led the team in tackles as well with 9. He had 5 stops, only allowed 15 yards. I believe the passer rating he allowed was 19.8. That's it, in his coverage. So he's probably one of the best, if not the best, linebacker in coverage in the league right now. And that's not even – I feel like that's not even giving him enough credit for what he's doing out there. He's an absolute menace. You see that one clip of him, pointing at Dak. It reminded me of the one where he laughed at Aaron Rodgers' face, because it's like, I got you, and I know I got you. That's just the menacing look that quarterbacks have to face every time they play the 49ers. And it's scary. It's scary hours out there.
Incredible, man. Fred Warner, this defense allowed 12 points in this game. And Brett Maher actually made his kicks. Who would have thought? At this point, right?
He got one blocked.
And that would have ended up in San Francisco if it wasn't blocked. That was going the opposite direction of where it needed to go. But I wanted to give some shout outs to other people on defense, specifically Deommodore Lenoir.
Yes.
Mooney Ward was back to his self. Obviously, when you look at the numbers that Deommodore Lenoir gave up, it was largely on 1 catch to CeeDee Lamb. Other than that, the 49ers did a great job in coverage. Up front, Eric Armstead was great. Got a little nervous about getting a penalty on Dak Prescott. That's why there wasn't a safety. Coach talked about that. You kind of could see him let up a little bit. because there's so many ticky-tack calls when it comes to that. But this defense brought it. And this was the first time that we saw this defense in a long time look like the defense of earlier in the year with allowing 12 points. I mean, the numbers were strikingly similar in terms of rushing yards, passing yards. All of those things kind of were the same in terms of that. That's how evenly matched this game was. But the defense came to play at the right time, man. And then, Charles Omenihu in this game was out for a little while, in and out. Dre Jackson wasn't even active again. Just again, this defense, D'Amico Ryans, now are starting to pick it up at the right time. That's why we kept telling you, the entire time, be calm. It'll be there. It's fine. If they and I think what you walk away from with this game is, damn, the 49ers can find any way to win games now at this point. I mean, you want to get blown out, we'll blow you up. You want to blow out? Cool. You want to shoot out? Cool. You want one of these grind out games? We're ready to do it. And what they did at the end of this game was wear down Dallas. You could see that they couldn't keep up with the physicality, and they started to run the ball more inside. But I do want to talk about something because I've been cooking about my coach. I love my coach. My coach is now in his third out of third in 4 years NFC Championship. That's what my coach is doing, right? Some replaced him with Ken Dorsey. Some wanted Robert Saleh. Some wanted D'Amico Ryans and then knock him down to offensive coordinator. But I will say this, Steph. It was a little something that was a bit concerning at the end of the half. Time management, again, seems to just be something that kind of that Kyle struggles with. And I understand what Kyle was doing, right? Like, he wanted to make sure that the field goal was the last play. But when you're trying to get into field goal range, and who knows, if you get a few more chunk plays, right, like you can maybe try for a touchdown before, right? Like you put yourself in a position where you might be in a goal-to-goal situation or at least closer where you can run some stuff that'll be closer to the end zone. But he waits too long for a timeout. Then he takes a timeout immediately. And then, Brock kind of holds the ball a little too long. That was scary. I'm yelling at the TV, just throw it away, throw it away, throw it away. But I will say that I was a bit concerned with the way that first half concluded with Kyle's time management. And I think that for as much as we've seen him come out of his shell a little bit and be more confident in Brock Purdy, that's kind of what Kyle detractors have been worried about. And they're in big moments right there. What did you think of that first half at the end of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit conservative, and it seemed like that's kind of the plan that Kyle had going into the game, to be conservative. And I get it, because it was a little out of their usual element, because usually they win the coin toss, and usually they get to double dip on drives. They have the final one before halftime, and then they'll have another one to start the second half. This time they didn't have that luxury, so they wanted to pretty much avoid the Cowboys from being able to double dip on points. So I get it from that standpoint, and because it didn't, completely screw up with the outcome of the game, I'm okay with it. So I think it was a risk for sure, but it might have been a calculated risk on his part, and so I'm not putting that too much on Kyle.
Yeah, absolutely. Almost 20 minutes in, we've got 130 people in here. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to both channels, hit that notification bell on both channels. A lot of content this week coming down the pipeline. Hopefully, we're talking about a 49ers victory on their way to Glendale. That would be pretty cool, Steph. But it's kind of good. This is a perfect way to pivot from Kyle Shanahan in the end of that half to Brock Purdy. This was easily his biggest test to date, right? And we knew this coming into the game. I want to give the Dallas Cowboys defense a ton of credit. Their front line, their defensive line, they were playing fast. They were closing off everything, behind. The Dallas Cowboys defense is not the reason that they lost this game. I think we can strictly say that it was Dak Prescott in this game that really just did not have a good game. But what's your overall takeaway with Brock Purdy? There's certain people that are saying, oh, well, he really kind of looked like a rookie in this game, but there can be a thought process in this is more encouraging than anything. What do you think, Steph?
Yeah, I think I'm on that side more than anything. So yeah, no touchdowns for Purdy, but I think the biggest contribution that he had in this game was something else he didn't do, which was he didn't have any turnovers, no mistakes on his part. And going up against this Cowboys defense, you just mentioned how good they were, and they weren't the fact that they weren't the reason that the Cowboys lost this game, but the 49ers won by 7 points. So a turnover could have been the thing that swung the game the Cowboys' way, right? You just never know. Purdy made sure he took care of the football. He wasn't out there trying to do too much. He did what he needed to do. He took what the defense was giving him. And I thought that he made some big key plays when he needed to, especially on third down. He was 8 of 11 on third downs, 64 yards. The 49ers as a team converted 50% of their third downs compared to the Cowboys' 33%. You were just talking about the 49ers defense and how good they were. Just a quick sidebar. I'm happy that the 49ers defense held the Cowboys just 33% conversion on third downs, because that's been an area of needed improvement for them. So just wanted to point that out. But yeah, Purdy, he leaned on his playmakers and they pretty much did the rest. George Kittle, he was huge in this game. And that's really all the 49ers needed to get the win in this one. And so I do like the maturity that he showed, that he understood the assignment as well. He didn't need to do too much. Just get the ball out to your guys. They'll do the rest. And I think he executed the game plan well.
Yeah, and to Steph's point about all you need to do is really protect the football, well, let's switch that over to Dak Prescott. You throw an interception to Diamador Lenore on the plus side of the field. That turns into a field goal for the 49ers. The Cowboys defense steps up. You throw an interception in the red zone. That takes 3 or 7 off. That's literally 10 points right there, like a 10-point swing, right? So that's how important protecting the football was, right? We've seen Jimmy Garoppolo win games like this in which the defense is playing very well and he still has found ways to turn the ball over. Brock didn't do that. And for as much as he was pressured, he only had 2 sacks. 2 sacks. And he was pressured, I think, Pro Football Focus had him for 15 pressures that were from not just the defensive line, from everywhere. And sometimes all you need is to protect the football. Brock Purdy has won games every single way now that you have asked him to. You want him to blow out a team? Cool. You want him to come back in a game against the Raiders? Cool. You want him to protect the football, be conservative? Cool. He's done it. And again, I think the way that you walk away from this game really speaks to the type of person you are. If you're a glass half full, glass half empty person, well, the glass is half empty. You can walk away and say, well, he didn't necessarily play well. He's going to need more next week. Or you can walk away and say, this team is battle tested and so is he. That was a great way to pass that test. You made enough plays to win. And yes, George Kittle's play was the turning point, and it felt like that was what swung the game. All you needed was one of those big plays, and that's what they got. You know, it was something where the Cowboys were on the cusp of having a few of those plays. You have CeeDee Lamb running down the field. If Dak puts that ball a little bit further out, CeeDee catches that, and he's probably gone. The Michael Gallup play, in which he throws it and Mooney Ward breaks it up. If he puts that on the other shoulder, Gallup catches that as well, too. Even Turpin, right? Robbie Gould with the tackle. Turpin was gone. If he cuts that back outside, he's gone.
That one was weird for me because, like, I'm seeing the game for, like, I got the all 22 view, you know what I mean? So, like, to me, it looked like he ran right into Gould.
Yes.
Like, what was he doing? I mean, I'm glad that Gould got that tackle, but I was like, you got hella space over there.
And that's the thing is bad. That was right after the Christian McCaffrey touchdown. That would have literally tied the game right back up. Like Dallas, someone needed to make a play in this game. Someone needed one big play, and Brock Purdy and George Kittle did. And for that play to happen with George Kittle being the fourth in the progression, right, and being someone who wasn't even supposed to be a part of that route, and to have George Kittle make that play, one, it speaks to the fact that if you put the ball in your playmaker's hands, good things will happen. But again, Purdy slides out. He has time. He finds him, and he puts him in a spot where only he can get it. One team needed to make a play. One team did, and the other didn't. And that guy was Brock Purdy, man. Like, again, he played within himself. He didn't really force the ball. There was one throw that probably could be deemed turnover worthy, but it bounced off Anthony Barr. Like, it bounced off of his shoulder. It wasn't necessarily a throw where you're like, what were you looking at, right? Like, again, you can still see that he's raw as a rookie, right? Like, you can still see that he's got some things to work on, but he's still protected the ball, and that's all the 49ers needed. So he's basically doing whatever the 49ers need right now at this point.
And can you imagine like a similar type of game against the Eagles? Because I feel like the 49ers might need to score more points against the Eagles, because we're just talking about the fact that, like, yeah, the Cowboys aren't like that. But I kind of feel like the Eagles, they're different, you know, like they're on the 49ers level in terms of like their toughness and how good they are on both sides of the ball. There aren't a lot of flaws to them. So do you think that Kyle was maybe saving some special plays out there that he has, and that's why he was a little more conservative in this one?
I hope so. I mean, I hope so. I think Kyle came into this game realizing what was in front of him. And again, I want to give credit to the Dallas defense. I want to give credit to Dan Quinn. I mean, Kyle spoke all week about, everybody was asking him, "Do you know Dan Quinn?" And he said, "Well, I thought I did until I started watching some of the new things that they were doing." Like, it's not as simple as, "Oh, load the box and stop the 49ers." You have to have the personnel to execute. You have to have the discipline that Dallas had. You have to have the players that are fast in that way to knock all that stuff off. So everybody stacks the box against the 49ers. Your
Yeah.
personnel might not be able to do it, Seattle. Your personnel might not be able to do it, Green Bay. But Dallas had the personnel and the discipline to make this game tough in the beginning. Again, the physicality wore them down. And when the 49ers stopped trying to go outside and actually work back inside, that's when you started to see the success, particularly when Elijah Mitchell was in the game later on. But I do think there's this like overarching narrative that Elijah Mitchell ran so much better than Christian McCaffrey. Elijah Mitchell ran for 3.8 a carry. Christian McCaffrey ran for 3.7. Like, it's so funny when you're watching the game and you're kind of like, man, look at Elijah. He's running the ball better than McCaffrey. And it's like, was he? Or like, was it just because of a few runs that you saw towards the end there? So we got another donation from Grace. Thank you so much. I don't know if you wanted to put a comment, but thank you for your donation. Appreciate you. So again, like, I know we make fun of the Cowboys and, ha ha ha, Cowboys eliminated 3-2-1 Cancun. But the defense was incredible, man. And I think they deserve a ton of credit. In terms of what Kyle's saving, all right. I mean, Steph, we can just get into this Eagles preview right now, I guess. This is me turning the page. Yeah.
You can get back to the Cowboys on your Twitter. I mean,
I'm done with that. It's time to focus because I already saw some Eagles fan post. I can't wait for the link to go crazy. And he threw it was that pass to Quez Watkins that ended up in no points. And I'm like, it's almost like you didn't watch the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's almost like you didn't watch the game at all and you have no idea. I was actually at that game and literally the Eagles ran 6 plays within the 5 and they got nothing. So yeah, I mean, look. I pop a lot of shit when I know that my team can back it up. I am going to predict the 49ers are going to win this game, but it is going to be the hardest game of the season for the San Francisco 49ers, and they need to basically play a perfect game in this game to beat the Philadelphia Eagles and go on to Glendale. This is the respect that I have for the Philadelphia Eagles. They don't have holes. They don't.
Yeah.
I mean, like, their pass defense has declined towards the end of the year, but James Bradbury and Darius Slay, I mean, that's a hell of a combo right there. I mean, Jordan Davis gets injured, their run defense suffers a little bit. But that defense is if Dallas was number 1 in generating pressures, well, guess what? The Eagles are number 1 in notching sacks. So this is a game in which this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out game. And then we all know the problems that their offense presents. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts. I mean, thank God that Dak Prescott was somebody who wants to win from the pocket, doesn't necessarily look to run until it's like absolutely necessary. But here we are. Mobile quarterbacks rip up the league. The 49ers have had issues with that. This one is the one that really gets your anxiety going. And it's not that I don't think the 49ers can win this game. I absolutely do. In fact, I'm picking them. We picked them 13 straight weeks, whatever it is, and we've been good, right? But my goodness, Steph, I have a ton of respect for this Eagles team, man, and it really is coming down to the 2 best teams in the NFC. How do you feel about this matchup?
I a couple weeks ago, it might have been last week, I don't know. We were having the discussion of would you be disappointed if the 49ers didn't get to the Super Bowl?
No, the NFC Championship game.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I think mine was the Super Bowl because I said I would be disappointed if they didn't get to the Super Bowl. It was like Super Bowl or bust for me. At this point, knowing that our NFC Championship opponent is the Philadelphia Eagles, I've had a bit of a change of heart of that because I feel like if you lose to a team as good as the Eagles, you lose honorably, right?
Yes.
That being said, of course, I want the 49ers to win. I think the 49ers can win. They should win, right? But I just wanted to let you know, you convinced me a little bit. But look, I feel like the Cowboys game, being that it was Brock Purdy's toughest opponent, and maybe even the 49ers offensive line as well, you can make the argument that this was probably one of the better defensive lines that they faced. Of course, going up against Micah Parsons, he's a beast. Um,
Did we lose Steph?
Dream version of that.
Oh, okay.
That's going to require a lot of discipline from the 49ers on both sides of the ball, right? And the Cowboys, they lack that like that physicality. You were talking about it earlier. Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't have it. Whatever it
No, but
is, like they just
they try to tell you
yeah,
all week, we're tough, we're tough, we're tough. They were tough for a
exactly.
little while. They were tough for a little while, but it really showed.
They prove that they can't back it up, and we knew they couldn't, right? And so the 49ers were able to wear the Cowboys down as the game went on. I do think that part of that maybe could have been also the fact that the Cowboys were coming in on a short week. They had to travel to both of their last two games, so that could have played a role. The Eagles on this this week, they don't have to travel. Well, they didn't travel last week as well, so they're going to be well rested. 49ers are going to be the ones making the trip. And so Cowboys, to start the game on Sunday, they came out with a lot of energy. I think that's why we saw the game be so close in that first half. But it was almost like the 49ers knew that they could have their way with them in the second half, and they did. Yeah. And so all that energy that they had, the Cowboys, it wore off because, again, they're not built like that. The Eagles, however, are physical. They are tough. They're going to have their home crowd, to back them up. And so we know there aren't a lot of flaws on this Eagles team. We know that, as far as their mindset goes as a team, very similar to the 49ers. So it is going to be a very, very tough battle. And I actually think this is going to be another defensive game. I would not be shocked at all if this is another low scoring game. Because when a really good offense meets a really good defense, more often than not, the defense is going to have their way. So I think it's just going to be a battle to the finish. And so everything is going to have to be earned from both teams. And so it's really going to be about who takes advantage of those opportunities. I wanted to share this little stat that I saw. The 49ers have allowed a score on just 26.6% of their drives this season. Lowest this season. Wow. Not just lowest this season. Lowest since 2019.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that's what they're doing. And so that's why I'm like, yeah, this is going to be another tough, low scoring game. That's going to be one in the trenches. You know what I mean? So it's really about which team has the most will to get it done in the end. Right. And so, yeah, I mean, if 49ers lose, I think they'll lose honorably. There aren't going to be any blowouts here. And so no matter what happens, hang your head high.
Yeah, and I think that Dallas presents challenges. I mean, Philly presents challenges that Dallas doesn't. Right. This is kind of what we were talking about all week, right? CeeDee Lamb's going to do his thing. But outside of that, Michael Gallup is not healthy. T.Y. Hilton, while I love him, I love Ghost, he's just a shell of himself at this point. When you lose Tony Pollard in this game, you really, really, really are limited at this point, right? And sure, that has something to do with it. Dak didn't play well. And sure, the 49ers defense had something to do with it. But then you look at this Philly team, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, and Jalen Hurts. I think we can all agree that Jalen Hurts, for a long time, was the MVP candidate. And there's an argument to be made that when he was injured, it probably solidified his case a little bit more because there were many people that were like, well, Gardner Minshew can just step in. Can he? I don't think he can. So there's the way that Dallas presents their problems and the way that Philly presents their problems. They have a great offensive line. They have the one thing that scares you the most, the one variable, the one thing that is the scariest is a guy who can move around with his legs. Jalen Hurts is a hell of a runner, man. And if he has to go get 5-6, cool, that may not look like anything, but it's putting them in 2nd and 4. And then they're in a spot where they can do whatever they want. There's flexibility. The path for the 49ers to win this game, discipline on the back end. You cannot allow A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith to go crazy on you in this game. And it is discipline in the pocket. And you kind of saw it with Dak. There was one time where they sent pressure and the pocket collapsed, but when you're playing man, everybody's back is turned and running with everyone else. There's no one there. So now Dak can just take off. And I think he only did it 1 or 2 times. You can expect Jalen Hurts to do that more. I don't know if D'Amico is going to do that over and over, especially with the problems that Jalen Hurts presents. But the point that I'm really getting at, Steph, is Philadelphia is basically got it everywhere. Now, where are they weak? Because no team is just perfect, right? Everybody has
Mhm.
their weaknesses, okay? Down the stretch, their pass defense lacked a little bit. I don't think that has anything to do with their cornerbacks. I think that has to do with their safeties and their linebackers. If we know what Kyle Shanahan does is pick on linebackers. So what does this game sort of feel like for me, Steph? Feels like another George Kittle game right now. Like, I think this is going to have to be a game where George Kittle makes plays, is used in the red zone, is able to take advantage of that safety that's across from him, whether that's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson or either of their linebackers lined up. When you get into that Death 21 lineup, I need a big George Kittle game this week. Aside from all the other stuff, I think the run defense was a little bit played when Jordan Davis went out. Jordan Davis is back. They're healthy. They're healthy again. Like, I think they have 21 of their 22 starters in this game. Like, Lane Johnson is the closest thing to Trent Williams, this side of the Mississippi, man. Like, that's how good they are. They have so many. Like, I think, I disagree with Colin Cowherd a ton, but he said something that was perfect. If you want to do a Pro Bowl roster with just 49ers and Eagles players, he'd take them against everybody at this point. Everybody at this point. And that is fair, man. That is absolutely fair. We're not even talking about Miles Sanders, who actually had, 13 touchdowns in the season, and for stretches was an afterthought. So I'm not trying to be scared, but again, my confidence against Dallas was more about the matchups they present. My hesitance this week and what I know is in front of this team, and why the anxiousness is on 10 already, not because just the game is the higher gravity, is that the Eagles have players, man. They're really, really fucking good. And that's the thing. It's like, it's easy to respect them. And again, it doesn't always happen like this. Rarely happens in the NFC, where the 1 and 2 seeds, the two best teams, and Philly and the 49ers were all season, the two best teams in the NFC, match up for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. That's what's in front of the 49ers. The 49ers have to play their best game of the season this week to walk away. And let's not forget, man, in Philly, I've been in Philly, I've been in Atlanta, I've been in DC, I've been almost everywhere that you can be in America. And I've heard Dreams and Nightmares come on in every single one of those places. And that place erupts. I cannot imagine what's going to happen when they come running out from that tunnel, listening to Dreams and Nightmares, and that drop hits. That song is the reason that they probably beat Tom Brady with Nick Foles. It's like one more thing, Steph. I do like that the 49ers are underdogs here. Me too. Now the 49ers can take the underdog thing and use it because they're not favorites. I think that is bigger. Go for it, Steph.
They haven't been an underdog in like 3 months. So, yes, I'm totally cool with that. Here's to hoping that Nick Sirianni turns off Dreams and Nightmares and plays Eminem. That was a bozo move right there. He's lucky they were playing the Giants because –
dude. That's the stuff that gets you fired, man. If I'm the owner and I'm like, yo, and you cut it off before, hold up, wait a minute, and you turn on Eminem, I'll be like, you know what? Practice is over. He's fired. We're starting over. I'm sorry, man. Like, that's a fatal flaw right there, man.
But speaking of Eagles coaches, there's one of my buddies texted me this, and I don't know where he got this, but clearly it was from like an article. So my bad for not crediting the article because I don't have the link. The Eagles assistant, their assistant DB coach, DK McDonald, he was at Iowa State when Brock Purdy was there. And according to Gannon, McDonald has a whole list of things that the Eagles need to get done to have a chance against Purdy. First of all, they're talking like Purdy is like Tom Brady or something. I like that, but I mean, what's your take on that? Like, is that anything to take seriously, or are they just looking at outdated stuff that at this point maybe Brock Purdy has already, fixed or has worked on?
I think that that's smart for them to not give bulletin board material in any way and show respect. I think that's gamesmanship a lot too, where you kind of hope that you lulling him to sleep and you don't want him to necessarily wake up, right? Like, all Dallas did all week, from their fans to, their team, their owner, all they did was just talk shit. And the 49ers did no talking. They did no talking, right? And they know what it's about. Don't give them a little bit more. And I think that they're trying to just, put them at ease, like, hey, we really respect them. Okay, cool. But the 49ers are relishing this role right now, because I do think that there's a lot of people, not just Eagles fans, national media, that are kind of wrapping this one up because Brock Purdy's a quarterback, right? Because Brock Purdy is the 7th-round quarterback. And, I even heard the wonderfully talented, smart Joy Taylor say the gap between her. So look at the laugh she gave. The gap between
talented. What else, Jay?
the wonderfully talented,
That's it?
Articulate, intelligent and analyst that Joy Taylor is. There's a sizable, huge gap. It's the gap between the Grand Canyon between Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy. And I think that is where everybody is kind of taking this. And I don't necessarily disagree. I just think that in the context with the playmakers, the play caller, what he's asked to do, maybe that is a little bit disingenuous and a little too far in this. And I mean, we're not talking about talent-wise, right? We're not talking talent-wise. We're talking about what they're asked to do. While Nick Sirianni is sitting here saying that Jalen Hurts is Michael Jordan to the offense, what does that mean? That means he's everything, right? Brock Purdy isn't everything, but in what he's asked to do, what he's being asked to do is better. And it puts him in a better spot than him having everything on him. And that's the part where, like, the national media, Eagles fans, they're kind of getting ahead of themselves, is because they're just saying, well, Jalen Hurts is more gifted than Brock Purdy. I don't think anyone is necessarily disagreeing with that. But in the context of playmakers, coaching, what he's asked to do, I do think that there's one person that's asked to carry this team and the other person who just necessarily needs to execute and get the ball to the playmakers.
Right. I mean, it's not like they're throwing against air in this game either. Like, they're playing against the respective defense that they're going against. And so a lot of people are bringing up the fact that these two, Hurts and Purdy, played each other in college as well. I mean, that has no bearing in this game either. The outcome of that game, the totally different story, what's going to happen here. So it is nice for the story, but, these guys are just going to be executing out of their own offenses going up against these defenses that they're going up against.
Right. Paolo, thank you for the donation. Love being an underdog in the fight. Keep up the work, Jason. Thank you. Appreciate the donation. Yeah, I mean, look, it's very much easier to hype yourself up. They didn't believe in us. Steph, it breaks my fucking heart because there's people out there that don't believe in us, that don't believe in the 49ers.
That's fine. That ain't no problem.
It breaks my heart. There's humans that are out there that do not believe in us. And I think it's much easier to hype yourself up in that role, right? Dogs on the road, going into Philly, hostile territory. You know the stories about their fan base and how they're going to be. You hear everybody telling you this team is this team is that. It's so much easier to, get that energy going. The 49ers come out with that chip on their shoulder. I like this role much more than we're going to smoke Seattle, we're going to smoke Dallas. Even Kyle spoke about the team kind of relaxing when they've been touted as the favorite, right? And I would say, and maybe this is probably going to get me ratioed in the comments, but I'm just going to say it. There's 2 games left in the season. There's probably a case to be made that the 49ers would be underdogs in both of these matchups going forward, right?
You're right.
No matter who is on the other side, right? Kansas City or the Bengals. 49er fans aren't going to believe that. They understand what their team is capable of. I'm just talking about the national outlook, right? If the Bengals find a way into the Super Bowl and the 49ers meet them there, the Bengals will have won just as many games as the 49ers going into that game. And the same thing with the Chiefs. It's still the vaunted Chiefs, right? Patrick Mahomes, all that stuff. I still think the national media would still be pumping up the idea of, well, Brock Purdy, man, 7th-round pick. I don't know if he can do it again. So the 49ers in 2 straight games now going forward, after being favored for how many weeks in a row, probably are going to have to roll with this underdog role. And I think I really like that a lot.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, we've seen what this team was able to do. They turned their entire season around being the underdog, with their back against the wall. So yeah, I think it's a nice change for them, and I'm ready for them to, prove themselves in this game. And by the way, because I was reading some of the comments, yeah, I think if the 49ers lost to the Eagles, it would be honorably. Who cares what I think?
Yeah.
Well, it's just me and you talking here. Well, the players don't think that.
Right. Well,
So
I think what Steph is saying, and this is an article that I wrote on Niners Nation, right? Like, and this is where Steph said, we had a disagreement. We don't disagree often, but good podcasts are born from disagreements. And Steph said she thought a Super Bowl berth, anything less than that would be a disappointment. I said anything less than an NFC Championship game berth would be a disappointment because when you look around the NFC, it was only Philly and San Francisco that you really look at as the powerhouses. So them not making the NFC title game and losing to Dallas or losing to someone else would be far more of a disappointment than if they do lose this game, especially considering. So that was my argument about this. I wrote a whole article about it. People were, this guy, he's a loser. He's all right. I'm like, dude, I am looking at the NFC. I'm only scared of one team, and everyone else is just whatever. I wasn't scared of Tampa, Seattle, Dallas, the Giants, the Vikings. I didn't care about any of those teams. My point was, you're better than all those teams, and it's going to be you and Philly in this NFC Championship game. That's why I said this season isn't successful, obviously, without a ring, but a disappointment would be you not even making this game to put you in the Super Bowl. That was always my discussion when it came to this.
Yeah.
So that's it.
And you're again, the one that changed my mind, so...
But look, that's what good podcasts are born from, is disagreements. Steph and I have great chemistry. We're friends. But that one I didn't agree with at this point. But now when you look at it, right, and you're looking at it, it's probably the 4 best teams that are left.
Yeah.
Right. And how often is that? How often does that happen? Where it's the 4 teams that are probably been the best for the entire season, right, over the span of 18 weeks. That are going to have a chance to, go to the dance. So it's right where the 49ers want to be. And now, again, their back is against the wall because of the national media. Now, it would be the same if they make the Super Bowl. So I love this role. I love it. Now you're really playing with house money, because people were telling me, oh, you're playing with house money because it's pretty. No. You're not, because you're still better than the 5 other teams in the NFC that made it easily in the NFC. Easily. Oh, yeah. You're not playing with house money. Now you're playing with house money. Now everything after this is deemed, oh, now let's get greedy. Now let's get greedy. Now let's go get 6. Now let's get greedy. This is where you get greedy. So for me, it's all about your perspective. It's all about how you look. Obviously, winning a Super Bowl is hard. Only one team does it. 31 other teams don't. And the 49ers are in prime position right now. There's an argument to be made that this is probably their best chance. What would you say about that, Steph?
I would argue against it because I feel like we've said that for like hella years now. And we mentioned the fact that this is their 3rd time in the last 4 years, right? So, and yeah, they're, as far as their quarterback situation goes, not to get too deep into that, but I just wanted to say, like, they got 2 young players there who they both have a lot of potential. So as long as those guys are on rookie contracts, you're able to build a roster. And John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan have shown a really good ability to build a great roster and continue to compete no matter what turnover they have from year to year. So I think that's been the most impressive part for me. And I think, why not? Why can't they do it again, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, 48 minutes in, 227 people in here right now. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to both our channels, hit that notification bell on both our channels for when we go live. This is a podcast that we started on Niners Nation Podcast Network. That's no longer there, so we're going to have to take it to our YouTube channels. This is where you'll find it. Steph and I have a lot more content coming down the line. Not only are we going to be covering the rest of this game, we'll be in Mobile for the Senior Bowl. Yeah, so there's a lot more to talk about. The Combine's coming up, all this stuff, the draft, all of those things. So, Steph and I got you for the rest of the way. Steph's famous. She's on like TV and stuff. I can't believe that she wants to still do a podcast with me. Yeah, like I can't believe it, man. But look, 49 minutes in, I think we kind of know where we stand on this, right? We're picking the 49ers to win this game. I've got it by like a score of like 20-17, something very low scoring in that way. I think that's
like 3. Within like 7 points or less, this game is going to be decided. Yep.
100%. Yep. Steph, do you got maybe 10 minutes where maybe we open the floor to some Q&A from our commenters and we just get into it for a little bit? Yeah. All right. So what we'll do, guys, we'll hang around for 10 more minutes. If you guys have any questions, make sure you send them in the chat. We'll answer them, whether anything you want to talk about. You want to talk about this team this year? You want to talk about what's down the line in the offseason? You want to, ask questions about why Steph's hair is better than mine, anything that you guys want to know. You want to ask why Steph is drippier than me, anything that you guys want to know, anything that's out there. Steph, the Nick Bosa impression this week, you crushed it, man, as usual. Why are you so good at this? And is there any other impressions you think that you could get away with too?
No,
No?
it's hilarious because I'm terrible at like impersonations and accents. If you ask me to do an accent, no, forget about it. But Nick Bosa, I think I just kind of like channel my inner like introvert and I mumble a lot. Not so much in when I'm podcasting, but in person. Like my girl is always getting mad at me, like she can't understand what I'm saying. I'm like, yeah, so I'm a mumbler, and so he's kind of like me. He's just like
All
me.
right. Alberto says, is Philly's defense better than Dallas's? I think so. What do you think, Steph?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so as well too. I think that they're tougher, they're meaner. They don't have to tell you they're tough, right? Like Dallas's defense is trying to tell you all the time, we're tough. Chris Hansen, hilarious name by the way. Kyle legacy game this week. What do you think?
I think so because my theory with Kyle being conservative against the Cowboys is the fact that he was saving some stuff for what he would show against the Eagles. He was just trying to do enough to win against the Cowboys. And he's going to open up the playbook, I think, against the Eagles. And you mentioned the linebackers of the Eagles and how Kyle likes to target linebackers. I think this is going to be a game where he's going to get cooking up in the middle.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is going to be a big George Kittle game. Eddie V is knowing exactly what to ask. Jason, thoughts on Robbie Gould's tackling skills? Kickers matter if they play for the 49ers. All the other kickers don't matter. Don't care. Look at my kicker, man. Perfect. All extra points, all field goals in the postseason. Love you, Robbie Gould. You're my favorite player. Can't wait to wear your jersey. Let's see. We got some good ones. Christopher Johnson, what are your takes on the coaching matchup? I know a lot of people have a problem with Nick Sirianni and his antics. For me, being an obnoxious guy, being somebody who probably does a little too much, I think the easiest way to stop all that is to shut him up and beat his team. What do you think, Steph?
I mean, I think so too. And the 49ers, I feel like Kyle Shanahan, like this is the kind of coach that he looks at and is like, this scrub over here, like this guy.
I mean, I would never act like that. Man,
like he probably just thinks Sirianni is like a moron.
He doesn't like Sirianni. He doesn't like Sirianni because he wears he doesn't wear flat bill hats, right? Like he wears the curved hats, and he's like, oh man, this guy's got no drip. I mean, he's turning off Meek Mill.
Kyle would never play Eminem, first of all. He'd probably throw on some Wayne.
No,
he did that.
Wayne, easily. Another reason that coach clears. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, obviously both great coaches. I know Sirianni was in the discussion as well for coach of the year, as was Kyle Shanahan. I don't think Kyle's going to get the nod on that, but, so obviously both great coaches, both great teams. That's why they're in this game to begin with, I think. So it's going to be a good one between those two. But I think Kyle got some tricks, some trick plays up his sleeve that he's going to try to get out on this game.
And when people hear that, right? Like I want to make sure I clarify this. In the Dallas game last year in the wild card game, there wasn't necessarily any plays that he just pulled out, but he pulled out routes. That route where you see Brandon Ayuk turning Trevon Diggs like a top, that was a route that has never been run, right? Like, so that's really what we're talking about. There's things there that they're going to incorporate to their normal stuff that is not seen. People just assume that it's like trick plays where it's like hand off to the running back and then Kittle. No, it's little things where you watch what the Eagles do, you figure out ways to attack that, and you break out new routes, things that you've been working on all week. That's kind of what Brandon Ayuk did, and I think that's more what people are talking about, what Steph's talking about. So Google account says if Omenihu is out, again, we talked about this earlier, but we do have to kind of talk about the football ramifications. If he is out, how much will this affect our defense? I think he only played I think it was 18 or 21 snaps. He was in and out injured. The 49ers have enough depth at the defensive line, I think. I mean, I'm not trying to downplay the loss of him because he was incredible all season. I had been campaigning for him to get a contract. Again, I'm not going to speak on what happened because I don't have all the facts. Just know that we do not condone that in any way if that is true. But I do think this defensive line is going to miss him, but they do have enough depth to overcome.
Yeah, I think so too. If anything, the rotation will just be, a little shorter than it's been throughout this season. And they got some guys, and I know someone mentioned Drake Jackson. Everyone's mentioning Drake Jackson, right? Because everyone's wondering, well, why hasn't he been active these last few games? He's been a healthy scratch. And so it seems like he's going to be a guy who's going to get extra opportunities in this game. At least I would think so, unless he's really deep in the doghouse. I don't know. But I think more so like for Drake Jackson, they probably didn't have him out there, one because of the run defense. So maybe that's one area they miss Charles Omenihu in a bit, but because I think he has more discipline, the vet knowledge, and all of that that he brings to the table as well. But I mean, it's a huge loss. I'm not going to downplay it at all. I think it's going to be big, but again, there's a lot of guys on this defensive line just as capable.
Steph, I don't know if you've ever watched the Boondocks. Have you ever watched the Boondocks?
I have not. No.
Oh, okay. All right. I get this joke because of Chris Hansen. Steph, offline, I will send you the episode that this references, but I just wanted to highlight this
Like,
because
I'm sure you will.
because it's so good. It's so good. This is such a good episode, man. But we got another donation from LQ. Bosa versus Lane last year. Bosa won last year with 2 sacks. I think this kind of speaks to the serial killer mentality that Steph has. Steph, like, does this make you feel a little bit better about what Bosa's going to do? Because he does have a bit of a drought.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely an opportunity. I believe Lane is probably the weaker link on that Eagles offensive line. Again, a very good offensive line, but you got to find that weak link and you got to try to expose as much as you can from that one player. So I think there's definitely an opportunity for Bosa and maybe even some other players to get going against Lane.
Wait a minute, Chris Hansen, this is actually your name and you just use the picture? Like, that's incredible. Oh my God, that is incredible.
That's probably even better than like if you just decided to do that.
That is incredible, man. Oh my God, I love it so much. And yeah, look, Steph, remind me because we gotta book for Mobile and all that stuff. We gotta do that like tonight or whatever. But like, remind me so I can send you this. The good thing about Boondocks is you don't necessarily have to watch all of them. I can send you individual episodes and you wouldn't lose anything. I'm gonna send you this one episode just so you can see what this is about. Trust me. I do not want to discuss this on this medium, but if you know for sure, like what that is about, actually.
Right,
so
I got some homework to do.
Yeah, just a little bit. Let's see. AK-49er says, what can the Niners do to survive the Eagles' initial punch? If we keep it close first half, we are the king of second half adjustments. Steph, I'll let you take this one.
Well, I think what the 49ers can do is what they have been doing, right? Like how many times, especially in the second half of this season, have the 49ers kind of taken that first punch from the opposing team and responded, especially in the second half. So whatever they're doing at halftime, the adjustments that they're making on both sides of the ball, it's not just DeMeco Ryans anymore. It's also Kyle Shanahan and Purdy's looking better in the second half as well. Just continue doing what you're doing. Obviously, they take a close look at what the opposing team is doing in that first half, and they have counters for them. So I think they can continue to do that.
I think, again, I've said this probably a million times, but like Kyle and DeMeco, they are like boxers. They jab, 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 and they're setting up their counter punch. And that's kind of what the first half is. It's a lot of gathering information on both sides. I know that Peyton Manning largely debunked the whole second half adjustments thing when he talked on the Manning cast about what I did at halftime was I went and I peed and I just went right back out there. I don't necessarily think that that's true just because there are certain things that they changed, especially when you listen to Trent Williams speak with Steve Weiss after the game. And Steve Weiss said, I noticed that you guys went to more inside running at the end. And he wholeheartedly agreed and said, yes, that's exactly an adjustment that we made. There are adjustments that are made. And I do think that the 49ers use the first half largely to not only set up what they want to set up, right? Their scripts for the offense, all of that, like early on, but they're gathering information. Kyle likes to run things just to poke and prod and see what you're doing, just to see if he can show you a formation and then run something else out of it if he sees a place to attack. So I do think the 49ers are great at gathering information early on both sides of the ball and taking advantage later on. Kyle, who made our our beautiful thumbnail, and he makes all of my artwork as well too. Shout out to Kyle B, legendary cast, Jason Aponte, and the Stragosaurus. Sheesh, man, I don't know how I got her, and I had to like book her. Like I had to talk to somebody on the side, like, hey, can I get her? And she's like, well, we have to check the schedule, all that stuff as well too. So, I mean, she's just big time. She's leaving the game. She's doing like TV spots. Like, I mean, like, what are we doing here, man?
I'm dead.
All right, let's see. Got some super chats. Artemis4944. First half at Houston versus Philly could reveal some weaknesses. Thank you for that. I will go back and watch that, and hopefully there are some things that were there. Houston actually gave Dallas a very tough game. As well too. That was kind of something that I pointed to in terms of giving me confidence because Houston had Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll as well too. So maybe there is something there because Houston did play them well. So thank you for that, and thank you for that donation. The recovery 716. Yo, love the show. Do you guys think the Eagles are a little too cocky? They struggled at the end of the year and then played the Giants twice. Steph, I'll let you start.
I don't know about too cocky, but I will say that I think there's the potential that they have some false confidence, right? Like same with the Cowboys, who had played the Bucks the week prior, and so they were all like, yeah, bring on the 49ers, right? So it could be a little of that. The Eagles, I think, if they are cocky, they have more of a reason than the Cowboys to be, right? So I think that there is the difference. But there is that potential. I mean, for all the talk of the 49ers haven't played anybody, didn't the Eagles have like the second easiest schedule after the Niners, though?
Easily.
Yeah, so it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, and I think that the confidence, I don't think is really coming from the Eagles themselves. I think that they're confident because they've been a great team, and I do think that, again, they're loaded at almost every single level, almost every position group. I think the cockiness is coming from the people who are dissecting this game, the national media, the people on Twitter, the people who are writing the 49ers off, and it's because of Brock Purdy. It's funny because if Jimmy Garoppolo was in this game, you'd probably be saying the same exact thing, right? Like, that's the funny part. Like, if Jimmy was here, you'd be like, well, Jimmy can't do it. Hurts is... You've got to start to remind yourself that what Brock Purdy is asked to do is not what Jalen Hurts is asked to do. Jalen Hurts has that offense on his shoulders. They have playmakers. I'm not saying that he's throwing to bums. He's not. But they ask him to do everything. I mean, Nick Sirianni literally called him Michael Jordan. I don't know if there's higher praise out there. Like, I wouldn't want anybody calling me Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or anything like that. Like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't. I mean, you know how hard it is to live up to. Yes, exactly. So Brock Purdy's not asked to do what Jalen Hurts is. And I don't think the cockiness is coming from the Eagles. I think they're exuding confidence because they deserve it. They won, 15 games? They're a really good team. They're a really good team. Look, again, I'm going to pop my shit when I know my team is going to back it up against a team. That's what I did all week against the Dallas Cowboys, those scrubs. And yeah, fuck them. They got eliminated. We're still cooking them. But the Eagles are different. They're different. And they're a very good team. This is a game where from minute 1 to 60 is going to be an absolute struggle. And the 49ers are going to have to play their best game of the season to get this done. Like, there's not going to be a way for them to turn the ball over, lose the turnover battle in this game, and find a way to win this one. I don't think that that's possible. If they're not playing their best, they're not going to walk out of this one with a win, even though I am predicting the 49ers to get a win. Damn, we got a few more questions. Let's see. Let's keep going. Just let me know when you're ready to go, Steph, because we just got a lot of people. Yeah. Let's see. Tara Dome, shout out to him, man. I'm studying this week 10 versus left hand up. The Commanders. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. They ran the rock on them, stayed over the top of the D, stayed disciplined on the edges. Yes, look. I think Tara Dome, if you were watching earlier, there was a time where the Eagles were susceptible to the run, and that's what Houston gashed them with on that Thursday night game. But that was when Jordan Davis was injured, right? Jordan Davis is back. I do think that that's a key component to this. But I think it's very easy to say, well, keep Hurts in the pocket. Don't let him scramble on you. It's a good idea. It's a very good thought. Can you execute it? What do you think, Steph?
Yeah, I mean, I also looked at the Commanders game against the Cowboys, and I was like, yeah, the 49ers are similar, so that could give us some clues as to how the 49ers would play against the Cowboys this time around. I do agree that obviously there are some differences since then that we can't really, point to and say the 49ers will have the same success. Also, the fact that these are division rivals. So, of course, they know each other very well. They're going to play each other a little bit differently. They tend to match up a lot better against each other. Case in point, how the Seahawks played against the 49ers this season. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we could put too much stock in it, but it could give us some clues as to how we can attack the Eagles.
Okay, Steph, I think this is a good place to end with this question from Boomer Rat. These you guys' names, you're just incredible. Steph, do you believe whoever wins this game will win the Super Bowl?
You know what? I think yes, and I wouldn't have said that if Mahomes was hurt. He has a high
Okay.
ankle sprain now, and I think they're
Oh,
the
Steph,
favorites.
hold on, Steph. And some would
I
say
get dragged in the comments. Here it
is
comes.
if someone would say an ouchie ankle.
Hey, he's gonna play on it though.
Oh, of course he is. Oh, damn! Wow, what was that? You didn't look. You didn't have to be Hufanga and take the cheese. I was just saying that because
Wow.
we're having a blast here at the end. No, go for it.
No, I mean, I think with the Chiefs and Mahomes, I mean, of course, on one leg he was still able to pull off that win. So you really don't know what's going to happen, but obviously it does limit him to an extent and his escapability out of the pocket, and so that could be a factor in this game. Also, the Bengals defense has been pretty solid as of late, so it could be a factor. Could be a factor.
I do think that whoever wins this game is going to win the Super Bowl. Call me a homer. Call me a guy who at least wants to say, if the 49ers, lose, which I don't predict that they will, I can at least say that they lost to the Super Bowl winner. I just do think that these are the two most complete teams. Like, still the Bengals have issues on their offensive line. They have elite weapons. They can still be had on defense. Kansas City, they have Mahomes, so you never count them out of the game. But like Steph said, he's injured. There's still a little something there. Like, I can't imagine that doesn't bother him. A high ankle sprain cost guys seasons, or not one person, right? Like in 2020, it was the entire 49ers roster that had high ankle sprains, right? So yeah, I do believe that whoever wins this game is going to win the Super Bowl. So having said that, I think this is a perfect place to end this. Steph, let everybody know where they can find you, and I'll take us out right after.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok. All of my social media is at Steph49K. And that's because on my own YouTube, I do 49 Carats podcast. So I got my own show. And I've been doing daily episodes throughout the playoffs. We'll keep that going. And it's nice to be on with you, Jay, and have this bully ball continue on our channels. We're going to keep it rocking.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you guys that didn't know, Steph and I, we did Bully Ball, which was audio for Niners Nation Podcast Network. Right now, that just feels like it's up in the air. Steph and I are the people that are not going to sit here and wait for an answer. We're going to move forward with what we got. Steph's a great friend of mine, and we did great work over there. Shout out to Rob again, man. Thank you for the opportunity. Make sure you go sub to Rob Stack Guerrera's channel as well too. I think I'm collabing with him tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of content that he has going on over there as well. So that's why we're turning this over here to you guys. Steph and I have great chemistry. We're friends. This is easy for us, right? Like talking about this team, and it's easy to cover a team that continues to win. So make sure that you like this video, subscribe to both channels because it's streaming on both our channels, and make sure that you hit that notification bell for both our channels. Both of us are coming out with content. Again, we have the NFC Championship. We'll be down in Mobile for the Senior Bowl. Hopefully we'll be covering the Super Bowl. Right after that is the Combine. There's still a ton of stuff to talk about. There's still a ton of stuff to cover. Steph's got you covered. Yep, Steph's got you covered. I've got you covered. We're going to be on top of it all. So for Steph, for Jay, thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all the love. Appreciate all the donations. Appreciate all the views. Let's go Niners. And let's get this fucking dub, man. Let's go to Glendale.
Let's go.